Well, I don't know if you folks saw Sidney Powell's interview last night on Newsmax, and I didn't catch it at the time because I figured, oh, well, she's done tons of interviews, what do I need to watch this one for? And then after the fact, I saw what she said, and I have to say, regardless of what ends up happening, I think that the way that she is making her case in the court of public opinion, the way that she's structuring her media appearances and things, is detrimental to the Trump campaign's efforts, at the very least. And that even if she can back up everything she's saying 100%, even if Sidney Powell has the goods, so to speak, if she does in fact have the Kraken under her command or whatever it is, whatever her lines are that she likes to spew, I don't think that the way that she's going on TV and discussing all this, is conducive to helping or to buttressing their legal case. Because, this is a two-front war if Trump wants to stay in office. The first front, and the main one, of course, is the legal front. There's all of the various legal challenges, the lawsuits that he has to go through. But he also has to convince people, the ordinary public, ordinary Americans, that he in fact is the legitimate president, that he won the election. And if you want to do that, then what you're saying on TV needs to sound somewhat reasonable. I think that, as I've said before, the case that you hear Rudy Giuliani making on TV, that, hey, we didn't have proper observation, there was, all sorts of funny business, potential ballot stuffing, you have these corrupt democratic cities. These are things that you don't need a whole ton of additional evidence to believe, okay, that might be possible. Obviously, we'll want, substantial evidence in order for that to be proven in court, but just on its face. I said from the very beginning, okay, this is a reasonable thing that I can believe. Sidney Powell, however, has been making extraordinary accusations, which are, they're possible, sure. Are they probable? Not necessarily. It's something that's harder to believe because it hasn't really been documented before, unlike the things that Rudy Giuliani's talking about. What Rudy Giuliani's talked about, ballot stuffing, strong-arming observers, trying to hide things. This has happened all over the world, but in the United States, and even in these particular cities, it's happened before, as recently as 2018. What Sidney Powell is discussing, using algorithms to try and switch votes and things like that through electronic voting machines, this hasn't really been documented, and it hasn't been widely publicized. It's not something that people think about a whole lot. Yes, there have been Democrats and things that were upset about this recently, but it was not a huge mainstream issue. So if you're going to the extent that you're going to make a case that is hard to believe, you have to give people some way of believing it. And so the more extraordinary your claim, the more extraordinary the evidence you must present alongside your argument to support it. And if you are not comfortable sharing that evidence because of whatever you have ongoing legal disputes or whatever, just don't talk about that in public because you sound nuts. Giuliani can go out and talk about his stuff and not present the concrete evidence other than the affidavits, which, again, I think the affidavits on their own are decent evidence. Is it enough to stand up in court? I don't know. But to me, when I see people, testifying that, I saw this and that, and it seems suspicious, I think, well, that seems suspicious. Well, when Powell comes out and makes all these claims, which are harder to believe to begin with than Giuliani, and then presents really no evidence, I don't see, at least I haven't seen affidavits from Sidney Powell where, people testify, oh yeah, I wrote the algorithm and I made it so that it switches the votes. I haven't seen anything like that. She doesn't bring anything up. In fact, one of the whistleblowers, who signed one of the affidavits supporting the Trump campaign, is a contractor that worked for Dominion, and she was talking about how the poll workers were misusing the Dominion machines and not using them properly, and were essentially running ballots through, multiple times. So if anything, you've got one of these Dominion people on your side saying that in fact it was the it was the Democratic officials who were, guilty of impropriety. It wasn't the machines themselves that were rigged in Biden's favor. And again, we're hearing now, she's saying that, there should be court filings here coming very quickly. And that, the other thing was the governor of Georgia is involved in some kind of criminal conspiracy to steal the election for the president, and that, he's being paid off by Dominion and all these things. And again, she just keeps making one explosive claim after the other. And these are all, again, if true, these are huge. And obviously, if any of these are true pretty much, then you can say, rightly, that Donald Trump was cheated out of this election. And I think to a certain extent, putting everything she said aside, I think that it's pretty obvious that Donald Trump was cheated out of this election. But all the stuff that she's putting forward into the court of public opinion without evidence in the court of public opinion is muddying the waters. And so if you can't back up these claims yet, then just wait until you can to back them up. Don't say anything, Sidney. Just go and do about your case, and if we come to the point where in court you present these things and you have evidence that the governor of Georgia is on the take and that he's a corrupt official, which again I'm no special pleader for the governor of Georgia. I don't think that he's a particularly virtuous figure or anything like that. I have no respect for ordinary politicians, and I think I've even said in the past that her saying that the CIA rigs elections in other countries, and so therefore why wouldn't they rig them here? That's a fair point, because the CIA does rig elections in other countries. And I would fully expect them to use the same tactics over here that they would there, but you still have to have evidence that they did that. You can't just say that. I can say that. I've been saying that. I've said for at least the last couple of years I've made that point. Not necessarily about the election itself, but just about, the CIA. Of course, they do these things to other people. Why wouldn't they do it to their own people? You think the CIA has more respect for the American people than they do for the people of Russia or China or Venezuela or France or Germany? No. But I say these things in general. I'm not saying them about anyone in particular. I'm not saying that any particular person committed any particular act. And so I really think that we're at put up or shut up time. I mean, this woman goes out and she does these media appearances almost every day, it seems. And even if she ends up backing it up, for the time being, what she's saying is hurting the Trump team's credibility, I think, in the court of public opinion. Because what she's saying, even if she's able to back it up later, at the moment, it just sounds unreasonable. And when Tucker Carlson offers to have her on for an entire hour, the number one rated news show in cable television, Tucker Carlson tonight, you have the opportunity to use that platform to make your case. And she says, no, I don't have enough time. Yeah, no, we can't show you anything. Yeah, you're pestering us. Don't call me back. What? If you want to make your case to the American people and you want to go out and do these media appearances, one appearance on Tucker Carlson is worth 30 appearances on Lou Dobbs, or, well, maybe 15 appearances. And so what do you want as a concession to go on? Do you just want him to agree that he's not going to ask you any questions, that he's not going to push you? And if that's the case, then why are you going on any media? Why are you making any media appearances if you don't want to answer questions? If you don't want to present any evidence? So in that case, then just wait until you have your day in court, and then once it turns out that all of this is true, you can just say, oh, look, the facts speak for themselves. Would you look at that? You wouldn't need to build all this hype. I don't see the logic in it. And again, when I see stuff like her saying that the governor of Georgia is on the take and that he's being paid off by Dominion or something like that, she doesn't even say that she has the evidence of that. What she says is that, well, I've heard it from credible people, and I'll tell you what, if I were in law enforcement, I'd be looking into that. It's worth investigating. Why is it worth investigating? Because you say it's worth investigating? I mean, that's ridiculous. You can't just go around investigating people because you say, well, I think that they're bought and paid for by Venezuela. It sounds a lot to me like, hey, Donald Trump's a paid stooge for Russia and Vladimir Putin. So I guess that's about the crux of my critique at this point. Again, I don't want to say definitively think she's, you know, full of crap or whatever. Because again, we'll know about this soon enough. It's not worth it to me to try and stake, you know, my reputation on saying this woman's full of crap. She doesn't know what she's talking about. That's my gut based on what she's saying. But she may very well back it up in court, and if she will, and if she does, I'm not going to apologize for what I've said today, because I agree, or I will still agree that in this moment, it's not smart of her to talk like this. So with that said, if you get anything of value out of this video, I'd appreciate you clicking that like button and sharing this video. And if you haven't already, please do subscribe, because I do upload every day, and I'd hate to have you miss one. So I'll see you folks back here tomorrow.